Thanks for tuning in. You are now watching J.U.K Sports Show. I am your host, King Ralph, here with my homie and my co-host, the homie Kai.
Yo,
What's
yo,
good,
yo.
bro?
I'm doing good, man. I'm happy to be here. Happy to have some wonderful guests this show. We're about to, go down, man.
Right,
So yeah.
right. It's been a minute since he's been on. I'm happy to have him on. I was telling the homie Tar, who was here today as well. Yo, man, I got Dec to come be on the pod. You gotta come pull up.
Yo.
So my man Dec, what's good, bro? How you been?
Man, I appreciate y'all for having me. Thank you, Kai. Thank you, Ralph, man. I've been good.
Most
Good.
definitely.
I'm happy to be here.
Right on. How you doing, bro? How you doing, Tar?
I'm good, man. How's everything with y'all?
Great.
Good. I'm tired. They didn't mess around and open a Randy's Donuts out here.
I saw that on your IG,
the
man.
one was around the street. You went?
Yeah, I'm the AM supervisor over there now.
What?
Yeah.
That's
So-
what's
So,
up, man.
Do you
Congrats.
get the all you can eat, bro?
What you
You get
saying?
what you want?
I be eating all the donuts, bro.
Give
Don't
me
be
some
a
Is it
diabetic,
better,
bro.
Is it better than Pink Box?
That's what.
'Cause I got
Ooh,
one up the street.
life
Randy's
decisions.
gonna be across
Randy-
the town.
It's just as good, if not better.
So should I make that drive? Because literally Pink Box
Yeah.
is like right.
I feel like the donuts are fresher.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
the glazed joints, we call them raised. I feel like they really are that fluffy.
What about the milk bar? Y'all got milk bars?
What do you mean by that? I was like, what?
Well, Pink Box got a milk bar. It's like it looked like an old fashioned, but it's long. It's a long.
Long pause, but
Yeah,
yeah,
nah.
Yeah.
We don't have any. We got like we call them like the bars instead of bars. We call them long johns. We got those. Those.
All right. Okay. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. In the East
Okay.
Coast, they call them long. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
You
fries.
from the East Coast? That's what's up. Same.
Ours are called long johns. But we got like a maple one. We got a chocolate.
Okay. I'm gonna have to come. I'm
Giving them promotion on my live though, but
sponsored by Randy's Donuts now.
right. I'm gonna have to talk to him about that. I need that. But send a shout out to our sponsor. Been a minute before we've been in the studio, but if you want to do any photo shoots, music videos, podcasts like what you're watching, call the number on the bottom of the screen, 707 Fitboxer. And so we're gonna jump straight in, man. I always mess this man's name up. Teofimo Lopez. I say it right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Has a comeback victory with a TKO in the 7th round in his fight against Pedro Campa. What are y'all thoughts on the win, as well as what this means for the division going forward?
Okay, so I'm not the biggest boxing aficionado, but I will give my little spiel, and then I'll pass it off to our wonderful guest here. I'm gonna call him Tilo. I know you said you forgot his name. I'm just gonna call him Tilo. I like that, Tilo. So Tilo, man. When I look at the fight, he's somebody who kind of, I say, like, slow and steady wins the race. Not saying that he's slow with the jab or anything like that, but he took what the defense was able to give him in the ring, and he really had a quick right hand. He was able to work methodically throughout the fight. Quite honestly, I thought that the fight was really won in that second half and in that 6th round when he really started going in on old boy's face. So I think that he did a really good job of just staying patient and hitting him boom, boom, boom that way. And then he just went all out. So I think when I look at Tilo, the best description to describe that particular fight was he was just a real tactician for me personally. And I think that's going to ultimately pay dividends for his next fight that he goes to. I think what we were talking about before the show, he's going to 140. He's 140 now.
Yeah,
exactly.
That was
140 pounds. Yeah. So I think he's going to be all right. But I just thought that he was really methodical with the right in that fight on Saturday. Now I'll pass it off to whoever wants to go, either Tar or Des.
Yeah, I think he looked good, man. He mentally is back where he needs to be, and I think that win got him mentally back. He's coming off a loss. I think during that loss, he was sick during fight week. He was kind of going through some personal things. He moves up. He looked just as explosive to me, and that's a good thing. But more importantly, he was mentally there all week. He was joyous. He had a boombox with him all week. So anytime a fighter come in dancing and just got his crew with him, they're mentally right. And I think he came back sharp in the ring, but outside the ring was more important. And he was happy. He looked happy this time around. And at 140, the power carried up because he was dropping some bombs. I think at first couple rounds he was kind of feeling out that power. He did clip him a couple times, and Campa took it. Campa got a good chin.
Yeah.
But once he got comfortable and loose and started being the entertainer that he is, I think the power came on even more. Like he let them shots go even more.
Right.
And he caught him with a beauty. I mean, one of the final knockdowns was just a quick
jab.
It was a jab that set him down. It's beautiful.
You got hit with a big meat.
Yeah, it was a quick. You got to make that sound effect. That's how quick it was.
Yeah,
right.
That Chris Childs verse Cohen. Boom, boom.
Yeah,
That remind me of, bro.
Yeah, to kind of piggyback a little bit off of what Dex said a little bit, it was good to see Bros back. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, for me, he's an energetic guy when you're around him, you know. And leading up to the Kambosos fight, when I like interviewed him, he wasn't, you know, you could just tell that there was something going on in his personal life, you know. And then the reports after the Kambosos fight is like he was dealing with some COVID-like symptoms, like a lung thing. So it was just first and foremost good to see him back, right? But then when you start to move up in division, right, or weight division, you start to kind of ask the question, how does the power translate? To me, he's one of those guys to where he has an awkward style to where he has a good pullback jab, and it's those punches that you don't see that hurt you the most, right? So how does that translate on film, right? And it translated well on the fight. I had asked Dec a little bit beforehand, right, because we got to also understand who he fought. You know, he fought like the 61st guy at 140, right? So it's like, okay, so now you're at 140. You kind of got a little bit comfortable because, you know, Danny Garcia was just in the same situation a couple weeks ago at 154, right, where he fought, you know, Benavidez, you know, David Benavidez' little brother. And it's just like, how do you get acclimated at a new weight? You know, like sometimes you fight a guy like a Benavidez with a name that's, you know, moving up, and sometimes you fight the 61st best fighter. So how will he translate his next fight is my question. And his style, like, you know, came with it. But as I kind of asked Daz, you know, Dec beforehand, there was rumors, and he said it himself, the 2-week training, like he only sparred for 2 weeks. So to me, my question is like, if he would have sparred a little bit longer, would he have knocked him out sooner, you know, instead of the 7th round? Right. So like, is he still like mentally, because did he take dude light, or was it more of a situation to where it was like, you know, the situation? So when he starts to kind of march up in competition a little bit more, is he going to be, you know, the T.O. that we know and love that beat Lomachenko, right? So that becomes more of the question, because I already knew what he was going to do. Betting odds had him knocking dude out in the 5th round, so we kind of already knew what he was going to do. But it was more, how did certain things translate? And he translated well. Like, the skills are always going to be there, but I think what is it going to be once you rise in competition, you know? So we kind of talk about that next. So, Dec, what do you kind of think? What do you think is next for him? Like, who do you think that he got next? Because I know he talked about December 10th. So, like, how do you feel about, you know, that?
December 10th is his date for sure. That's what it's already on BoxRec, so they had that there. But I know he was talking about wanting a pay-per-view. I'm not sure if that will work out for him, because there is a UFC fight that night that is a pay-per-view. And coming straight off the Heisman program, I don't think ESPN is going to want their customers to order and pay a price after watching the Heisman for free.
Right.
I think realistically, in the crowd on Saturday night was another 140-pounder who's undefeated. His name is Ono Barbosa. And he's a lot more legit than Campa. And Campa had a good chin, but Barbosa's, I think he's ranked number 3. So that now you're jumping into some, you know, that's a legit fight at 140.
Yeah.
I like the way T.O. looked. I think the Barbosa fight makes sense. You got another cat who's undefeated, who's confident, who's been fighting at that weight for a minute.
Is Ryan Garcia realistic?
Oscar was there, but realistically,
there, right?
That's a pay-per-view fight, though. So again, like I'm saying, that right after that Heisman, it's just that date don't work out unless he changes his date. But I think he wants that date. I know he wants to be in a big room, so it's going to be somebody decent.
Yeah, he said Madison Square. He said MSG.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wants in that big one.
Yeah,
I
he
don't
wants
know.
MSG.
But
Because Josh Taylor to me is not realistic right now. Catherall's not. Because
that fight's in November.
Yeah.
Taylor and Catterall fight in November. So
Yeah, so that's not realistic. And then he
Yeah.
called out Prograis, and that's I
He's a
think
beta.
him and Zepeda is gonna be fighting, so I don't think that's real.
They're about to go to purse bid.
Right. So
it could be Barbosa who is there, or you gotta look at top 10, top 15. Now if it's Ryan, that's a pay-per-view, and they gotta come together with the zone. That's not December 10th no more. I don't think that'll be. I love that fight. I'd love to see it. They both explosive, and they both just moved up to 140. But I'm not sure.
Real quick,
Garcia moved up to 140?
Yeah, he did.
So that last guy's at 140. He said he wants to stay there. So
what's more realistic though? That or Tank? Like
for Ryan Garcia?
For Ryan Garcia.
I think Tank, because Tank is wide open. And he's not trying to fight on December 10th.
Right.
He ain't tied down to that date. So he got a more wide open date for December. And he has nobody to fight. He should fight Ryan Garcia. I want to see it.
I want to see that.
I'm ready for Tank. I'm not saying he hasn't tested himself, but has he? Since he won a belt?
Tank? I mean,
when's the last time he fought another belt holder? That Pedraza was 2017.
Barrios.
That was what belt was that?
And he beat what's his name?
What belt was it for Barrios? Because Josh Taylor
he wasn't it 140?
Yeah, but Josh Taylor's undisputed 140-pound champion. That was a Reggie belt. That wasn't a real legit belt.
No, he beat what's his name too though. He beat
man.
What's the Mexican guy's name? Before Barrios. Leo Santa Cruz. That's a legit win. Leo Santa Cruz might be a Hall of Famer.
But yeah, he was coming up to 2 weights.
Leo,
he didn't have a belt at that time, or he's been holding on to that 126-pound belt, I think.
126 pounds. I ain't been that small.
Yeah. So he moved up 2 weight classes.
6th grade, something like that. I don't know.
You think that Leo fight was? I mean, that was a little bit. He fought a little guy.
But it's like when we talk about him and we talk about Ryan Garcia ain't fighting nobody. Ryan Garcia got knocked by Lucas Campbell, and Lucas Campbell has no power.
That's Olympian
though.
That was a legit win to me because Luke was an Olympian.
It's not. Ryan Garcia, bro. I'm gonna tell you, they're protecting that boy because Ryan Garcia, he's Amir Khan. He's good looking. He has the hand speed, but he has no chin.
But hey, Amir Khan fought everybody. He got knocked out by everybody, but he fought everybody.
Hey,
so that's why they don't want Ryan Garcia to fight nobody because they see that. They know this, bro. They don't want Ryan Garcia fighting nobody.
I think if Ryan Garcia puts up a good fight, which I think he will against Tank, because Tank lets his opponents work. Look at Rolly just look good them first 6 rounds. He's gonna let his opponent work a little bit them first couple rounds. Like I don't think he loses his stock if he loses. He's still
Ryan didn't want to fight Isak though. And Tank just beat Isak. He didn't want to fight Isak.
There's a paper trail on Twitter about the Isak Cruz fight.
What's the paper trail?
The manager tweeted that he just didn't want that fight. Sean Gibbons didn't want it. That's the manager for Isak Cruz and for Manny Pacquiao and all. Sean Gibbons is legit. And he tweeted that wasn't their plans right now.
Oh, so Isak. So it was Isak.
It was his manager. It wasn't Cruz.
Oh, okay.
The manager said, "Look, I got different plans for him."
But Ryan had already booked old boy that just lost to another guy he didn't want to fight. He didn't want to fight JoJo. So JoJo just beat old boy that he was supposed to fight.
Fortuna. So remember, if you remember Ryan's timeline, I know a lot of people don't like Ryan, but I like Ryan, but I'm keeping up with the facts.
Okay, that's why I'm glad you're here.
He was supposed to fight Fortuna. That was, if I'm not mistaken, that was the mental health when he pulled out. He came back and he fought him, knocked him out. There was only one more time he pulled out when he broke his hand. I forgot which fight that was.
It was JoJo. He pulled out versus JoJo.
That was okay with the hand. So again, he redeemed himself out for Tuna, and now if he could fight JoJo, that could be his next fight. Because again,
and then he was supposed to fight Devin Haney and duck Devin Haney. He ducked Haney.
He did duck. They both was on his own.
He ran across the street with Haney.
Yeah, no, they both was on his own, and he did. He didn't want to fight for some reason. I think he thought Haney wasn't big enough because Ryan's been trying to get these big. I know he wants to get cashed out. He like, if I take a risk, I'm gonna get cash. That's why he wants this Tank fight so bad. He knows it's gonna make millions of dollars for him.
And that's why I'm saying. That's why I don't
get put to sleep.
He's gonna get, and that's it. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying he's Amir Khan, because Amir Khan was a big fight. And
so
when
if
he
you
got
think
the big fight, he got the
so you don't think Tank give away them first couple rounds?
It's a filling out process, but with Ryan, there's really nothing to fill out. Ryan
you don't think that left hand?
Ryan has hand speed, but then I literally just seen old boy Fortuna catch him for no reason. Fortuna caught him for no reason.
No, he get caught. I'm saying Ryan's left hand. You think anybody can at 135 pounds?
Ryan's not that impressive, dude. He's really not that impressive. He's just hand speed.
His left hand is crucial.
No.
We don't believe you. You need more people. That's what Tar's saying.
No.
So if who he hit flush with that left hand that's not falling? You saying Tank got iron?
Tank for sure. Tank. The guys he's calling out. I think the guys he's calling out. Oscar knows, dude. Oscar's his cash. That's his cash cow. You take him off of Golden Boy. Who does Oscar have as a fighter? Nobody. Look at. The Golden Boy roster is not all that great. You compare Golden Boy with Top Rank and all these other promotions.
No, I agree. Oscar don't do what he need to do. Munguia's over there struggling.
Yeah, Jamie Munguia should be fighting one of the Charlos. He's not letting him fight a Charlo. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So Oscar doesn't let his people fight people because he knows. That's why Canelo left him, because Canelo had to go to Green. He knows. That's why he's trying to protect Ryan, bro. He's trying to protect him. He don't want Ryan fighting anybody.
I'm not sure how long he can protect a man who's always calling out big names. Like at some point, his mouth is
It's like when you go to a restaurant, you order all these big foods and you don't finish it. That's exactly what's going to happen to Ryan. He ain't going to finish his food.
I'll say this. Let me tell y'all this. That left hand,
a little more cheap.
For me personally, is as strong as Wilder's right hand in the heavyweight division. 135 pounds, 140 pounds. I don't think too many people would take a flush left from Ryan Garcia. He ain't the best fighter, but that just like Deontay Wilder ain't the best fighter, but he catch you with his right hand, you going to sleep. If Ryan catch you with that left hook, nobody is withstanding that flush left hook, and they're gonna buckle, they're gonna back up, they're gonna hold. Kid might not be the best defensively or even offensively, but that left hand is probably the best left hand in those two divisions.
All right.
Hey, that was a great conversation, guys. Straight up, like really.
It is. I'm actually really curious to see what happens with the division because I didn't know that Garcia had moved up too. So like,
yeah.
Oh, you talking about Danny? Which Garcia? Ryan? Oh, Ryan.
Ryan, yeah.
And so to see like that, there's two, like the two young guns is moving up, and people that's actually making noise in this. And at 135 moved up to 140. I'm kind of curious to see what happens with that.
140 gonna be crazy because I think Haney is growing. I mean, I don't know how many fights he got left at 135.
Right.
I'm not sure. I think 23. I'm not sure how old he is, but
23.
Right.
Yeah. So he about to move up. Well, I would say the next 2-3 fights. So 140 gonna be jumping just as like 135 was.
True.
And then you got. Ultimately, I'll just say this here: the best to me. I know it's the four. What do they call them? 4 young dudes, the 4 kings.
Yeah, the 4 kings.
Loma, Devin, Ryan. But they got a 5th person who's better than all. Shakur Steven is the most talented,
bruh.
And his body. I mean, he already this big. I think he just know how to make weight, but he could easily be in another year or two 140. And I think skill wise, nobody. It's levels, like we talked about earlier with before the show with Pacquiao and Mayweather.
That would be the only person I realistically see Tank dunking is Shakur. He don't want.
Because you can't like get behind on the scorecards. You can't wait around because he just good. It'll be 6-0 before you know it.
Yeah.
And then he still ain't gonna be able to figure Shakur out because he's that smart. Like
But Deshaun Watson made some apology to a local note during a interview for a local news channel. Over the time, if you follow the case and everything that's been happening as far as his name in the news, he's been adamant about his innocence and that he regrets nothing. So finally in this interview, he comes out and says that he regrets everything that happened and the impact that he has had on these women. But my question is it a little too late? And is he out of bounds or is he in bounds as far as the apology?
Okay, so I'll set it off. First and foremost, I don't, with all due respect, I don't know the full details of everything that necessarily transpired with that situation. However, we do know so far that everything that's been, alleged and accused of is not great at all. So I'll put that there. But I don't think that I would say he's actually out of bounds. The reason why I don't think that Deshaun Watson is out of bounds in this situation is because when we're talking about apologies, right? You can give an apology at any point in time. I think what we're waiting on now is the NFL. Obviously, they're appealing the situation, and we're trying to see, is he going to wind up getting either a 12-game suspension or a full year. So I think him actually coming out and saying that he regrets certain things, I think you can apologize at any time, because there's people who have been actually convicted of actual crimes and such of that nature, not saying that he's innocent or guilty, but who have actually been convicted, and even on the stand, they'll go out and apologize straight up, like and they've been found guilty, and there's people who've been, innocent. So, like, I wouldn't say that he's necessarily out of bounds for statements that he makes, and he probably, I would think, probably does feel that way. I'm assuming, hopefully, looking at things in a different light per se. So I wouldn't necessarily say that he's out of bounds. I think he's justified in being able to actually come out and make those statements. I do find, however, to Ralph's point, what he mentioned when he brought forth this topic, I do find it interesting that you said previously, though, he never said anything, right? Like, he never really, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, well, why didn't you say anything before? You know what I'm saying? But then again, it could have been just a situation where he was saying, or him and his lawyer or whatever were thinking, okay, let's let this process run its course. So let's let the courts kind of handle the situation, and we're not going to proclaim anything so far. So I think that might be the reason why he actually wound up waiting. As far as the situation as a whole, I'll continue to say this, even though it wasn't a question, but I've talked to my homies many times about this. If you do have a friend, girlfriend, sister, mother, whoever, situations like these, and make sure that you protect them at all costs, period, regardless of the outcome of this particular case. Make sure that you really do protect them, and that you actually give a damn about these types of situations, because sexual assault is something that is not to be played with. You know what I'm saying? Like, you never know who's lurking, who may be, trying to get at somebody or whatever. So we want to make sure as men that we actually, are protecting those people that we truly care about. So, yeah. But as far as his statements, I feel like, for me personally, just my own personal opinion, I feel like he's justified in being able to actually give a response for that situation. So that's how I personally feel about it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Either one of y'all want to say anything before we go to the next topic?
Yeah, I'll just say really quick. In the court of public opinion, no matter what he says, he's going to be wrong. So it doesn't even really matter what he says. So I think at this point, anything that he says, when they say anything that you can say will be used against you in court of law, anything that man says, people are going to either believe it or not. Like, you had those Browns fans who loved him, and they said, "We got your back, and we're going to love you." Then on ESPN, he got dragged by like Sarah Spain and all these people. So no matter what he does or what he says, it's not going to help his situation or his case. And as far as this up and coming season, he might not even really play. I know, like, the suspension thing happened, but the NFL is about to appeal the entire thing. And I know in the past he had a close relationship to the NFL, to where he's ruled with the NFL in the past. So it's the likelihood of him even playing too is he got to focus on that. Will he even play? So no matter what he says at this point, it's not going to help his case, unfortunately. So we just got to ride it out, honestly, and he's going to have to deal with a lot of these jokes the rest of his life, unfortunately, or the scrutiny the rest of his life. It's just something that going to come with the territory. Like, how long ago did Michael Vick and the dog situation happen, and people are still bringing up him and dogs? So and in our mind, that's probably what Deshaun Watson probably were. So Deshaun's going to deal with this the rest of his life. So
Yeah. True. And real quick to piggyback on something that you said, Tar, about the Michael Vick situation. I think I might have told both of you guys this before, but in 2015, I was going to school, Point Park University, right, in Pittsburgh, and there was a game between the Steelers at Heinz Field, right? And I think Big Ben was out, right, because he got injured or whatever. And that was Antonio Brown criticized Mike Vick for not giving the ball, whatever situation. But anyway, and Mike Vick actually won the game on the play that Big Ben drew up. But I'll never forget, I was on the elevator, and someone who I was cool with, a girl I was cool with, I was like, hey, look, I'm going back up to the third floor of the lounge room, and I get to see like my favorite quarterback, right? Quarterback, literally, I'm talking about a person. Mike Vick had done his jail time. This is 2015 now, right? Mm-hmm. So he's on the last end of his career. And I was like, Michael Vick. And she's like, what did you say? I was like, yeah, Michael Vick, when I was a kid, I was like my favorite quarterback. Yo, her eyes turned crazy, right? She turned around, looked me in the face, and she didn't just say it. She like screamed at me. She said, dog killer. And just when she said that, the elevator door is open, right? And everyone's like, yeah, what was that about? And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I could like, I was like, yo, right? I was like, what?
Yeah, right.
Yo, she said it like she wanted me to feel that joint, man. I was like, wow. And so like the people who I was actually I was watching the game with were also like my college homies and all that kind of stuff. And like they felt a certain way about Mike Vick. And I was like, you can feel a certain way. What he did wasn't right, whatever his assisting and all that kind of stuff. But they were like, yeah, man, don't even like, people are going to be, whatever. You don't have to love him. But I'm like, bro, really? So I bring that up to piggyback what you say with Deshaun Watson. Different situation, but there will always be a stigma stuck with him, whether he's found innocent or
not. Right.
If he's guilty, then it's even worse. But you know what I'm saying. And I'll let you go on that. So yeah,
real quick, ESPN did an interview, right, with all the feminist groups of Cleveland to ask them, will you be going and supporting the Cleveland Browns this year? And like the president said she'd support him, but then her little worker said, no, I'm not going to any of the games. So you even have mixed reactions throughout their thing, right? Their president said they weren't going, but then the workers under her said they weren't going to go, but she said she was. So you know what I'm saying? She was like, well, I support Cleveland Browns no matter what. I love them. And then, no, I can't get behind it. So you're going to get that no matter what, bro. You know what I'm saying? So no matter what he says, it's not going to help his case. So.
But for the sake of time, we can go on about this. This could have been the main topic, but for the sake of time, we got to move on. Fernando Tatis Jr. suspended for 80 games after testing positive for clostebol, an anabolic steroid. He's actually one of the faces of baseball, the MLB. I think if it's not this past year, 21 MLB The Show is for 2020. So is this a black eye, and is he inbounds or out of bounds?
What exactly was the drug?
It was a steroid.
Just make him hit the ball further.
Yeah.
You wanna go on that one? You wanna set that one off a little bit?
I'm all for it.
Okay.
I mean,
hey.
I would like baseball to be a lot more entertaining. It was entertaining, as Kai pointed out earlier before the show started, when everybody was hitting home runs, when there was like that home run chase with Sammy Sosa and Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire. I was into baseball then. That kind of got me into it. So I'm all for baseball being entertaining. As long they're not hitting, just not like football when they're not crashing into each other.
Right.
Using a bat to get a ball for it. So it's not like boxing either. Somebody takes steroids in boxing, and football is like you putting somebody's life on the line.
Right.
I'm not sure if that's the same in baseball. I know people want fair play. I understand that. So I'm not just being belligerent with this idea, but
I actually agree with you, man. Like 100%. And I've been on record many times saying, just let them do it. And because if you go back, another person that's always me and Kai both agree Barry Bonds is the GOAT. We will probably be having a different conversation if Ken Griffey didn't hurt his back once he got to Cincinnati. But he still hit 600 home runs with a bad back. And so, but Barry Bonds, you can see him get noticeably bigger even in his head size.
Yeah.
And so, but if you go back and look, he only had one season over 55 home runs, and it was the year he hit 73.
Yeah.
So it's not like taking steroids makes you hit the ball like so much better. It just makes
you got laser vision on that ball.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't improve your hand-eye coordination. It just you get it right.
Hand-eye
You start seeing through
Yeah.
people.
And so, like, for me, man, I think that they really should. I think that they should just allow it, open it up. I get tired of having these conversations with these baseball purists. Like,
Right.
I'm trying to remember. Nah, Tar, I don't think you.
I was with
Tar,
you with Ghost Spike. It was them girls, bro. Yeah.
Tar, you know, you was talking to those girls at Ghost Spike, and I brought up Bonds, and Shorty got.
She
hot.
just got. Well, they were Dodgers fans though.
And they was Dodgers fans.
Man, good old Ghost Spike, man.
Fans. But bro, they was hot. One particular Shorty got OD heated, G.
Yeah. She threw a drink at you?
Nah, it wasn't like that. Nah, it kind of got. It was like an awkward silence after I said it.
Oh man.
But yeah, but real quick, when you ask, right, does that put a black guy on baseball? Bro, baseball looks like Forrest Whitaker, right? They have a whole entire team, right? Right now, the number one team in the ALS or the American League cheated to win the World Series. They cheated to win the World Series. The Astros. Yes, they cheated. They're the number one team in baseball right now, or in the American League, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So they've had several black guys in baseball. They don't even have a Hall of Fame because of all the black guys they have. So just one more person doing it, it's like, bro, come on now.
Right.
Yeah, they had MVP
Just
like
open
years
it up.
ago who was on
You know what I'm
steroids.
saying? Like, so it's like I gave this analogy earlier, but I want to give it on air. Imagine, right, the NBA not having Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the all-time leading scorer in the Hall of Fame. Imagine NFL not having Jerry Rice, the all-time leading person in yards, or Brett Favre, the touchdown leader when he retired, in the Hall of Fame. Baseball literally doesn't have Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, like Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame. Pete Rose didn't even use steroids, so it was like, come on, bro, like the whole entire sport.
Pete Rose bet on his team to win games.
Right. And they said no.
He had confidence in his team, bro.
Say no.
And you still say nah. So it's like no matter what baseball does, you're never gonna get it right. So just throw the whole sport away and just let them do what they gotta do.
Oh God. But
baseball is a game of getting advantage and cheating a little bit. This is what it seems like.
Man, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
There you go. That's the quote.
But Brandon Jennings criticized players' love while on Twitter and some random tweets. It just came like I was like, is he promoting a book or something? Just the most random, wild takes I've ever heard.
Yeah.
But he went on to say criticize LeBron as well as CP3 for making the league a players' league to where players can just take games off without even being injured, just for the sake of getting rest. He said it's only a couple of guys in the NBA that love the game. Do you think he's in bounds or out of bounds for this statement?
Okay, so all right. So here's what I'm thinking. All right, I believe he's out of bounds. I believe he's in bounds for the player empowerment part in terms of like, yeah, the players are running the league. It's crazy, and I believe that the next CBA is going to be crazy, and I think we're going to have a lockout. So if we have a lockout, that just means more Drew League basketball for me. But shout out to Brandon Jennings. I would like to preface my comments before I get into the meat and potatoes of this topic real quick. Brandon Jennings, if you guys didn't know, it's probably a fun fact. You'll learn something new about me. Brandon Jennings to this day, not LeBron, not Kobe, not John Wall, even though he had the greatest high school mixtape in my opinion. Brandon Jennings is actually my favorite basketball player who ever played high school basketball, if that makes sense. Like at Oak Hood, what he was doing, it was just cool. He looked like the left-handed Allen Iverson to me. He was just cool, and he had the high top fade with the ton of shades. But I have his tweets real quick, and I'm gonna make it really quick, bro. He said they asked him. He said, "Nah, I feel like it was CP3, Bron, and them speaking on the players, this and that." And my thing is, I get the money, I understand that. But the passion for the game is lost. Kids don't even watch the game anymore. They just go to highlights on Twitter and Instagram. And he said that they should put something in the contracts, average this. I don't think averaging something is going to change. But he did say play so many games, have to get that money. They just did that with Zion. Listen, the NBA is on its way like the NFL. Okay. My only issue I have with it is why did he single out CP3 and LeBron as the two people? That was really what I didn't really understand, because if that's the case, I'm sure there would be a whole lot more players that you're going to single out. Like, I don't even really remember CP3 doing anything other than being on the committee.
That's what it was.
I know LeBron has something to do with player empowerment in terms of being a GM, but in terms of the passion of the game, I'll put it like this. and I've talked to you about this, Tar, before, and me and my dad have conversations about this all the time. A lot of people aren't going to like to hear this in any professional sport. There are those people who go into the league and they do it so they can get the bag because they came from the trenches. There's other people who go in the league because they want to win the championship. You just hope that the star player of your team is the one that wants to win the championship. But I can't knock anyone who's going to get the bag because not everyone is going to be that guy. Not everyone's going to be Kobe in the gym. Not everyone's going to be Mike. Not everyone's going to be freaking give me another player who's good like Curry or something. They're just not. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of think he's out of bounds because I don't really like the way that he kind of singled those guys out. And once again, I feel like Brandon Jennings, he has these like really cool like philosophical ideas, and he sits and he probably smokes some weed or whatever and thinks like, hey, guess what? And goes to Twitter. And it's like, oh, Brandon, it's like you were so close. He does like the Winnie the Pooh thinking thing. He's like, but it's like he fell a little bit short, Brandon. So I kind of get where he was going, but the execution just kind of fell. So I think he's out of bounds, man. That's my opinion. Next up, anyone?
Jump in if y'all want to jump in.
I can take it. Nah, I thought he was. I agree with him because I think the whole player empowerment thing, right? I think the reason why he used CP3 and LeBron as an example is because of how powerful they are in the NBA, and you're gonna lead. They led by example, right? Where they actually played the idea of Kevin Durant being able to go on Twitter and basically try to get coaches fired and put people like and throw people under the bus on his team, and the reason why and create burner accounts that really literally started with LeBron and them, bro. Like because it's like. And it's like in order to create a balance of, well, I got to compete with the Heat. I got to compete with these bigger market teams. In order for me to beat LeBron and these powerhouses, the Warriors have to form, right? Kevin Durant had to play with the Warriors, right? So it created a level of parity where the league had just died. And so every player feels like they got to go team with the next star player in order for them to compete and win the ring and stuff. And I think that's what Brandon Jennings is saying because I don't have to watch the NBA season to predict who's going to be in the NBA Finals because you look at how stacked teams are and it becomes a no fun league, right? And player empowerment has a lot to do with that, right? Like a player shouldn't be able to go to a manager with a list of demands like, I want this coach fired. I want this. I want y'all to trade for my boy. I want this to happen. That killed the NBA, bro. You know what I'm saying? So that's what Brandon Jennings was trying to say, but it's hard to express your feelings with 140 characters, and you come off not making sense. But I got everything he was saying because I've been saying that for years. NBA is boring to watch. It sucks to watch because of these types of things, right? It's like the New Jersey Nets or the Nets, Brooklyn Nets, they're a soap opera, right? Freaking what's his name? The light bright dude, Ben Simmons, he's a my God, I can't stand Ben Simmons, right? But this is what he's talking about. He's talking about people like Ben Simmons, bro. Like empowerment completely allowed Ben Simmons to cry, to sit out a whole entire year, to say like I'm not gonna play if X, Y. That's player empowerment, definition of it. That's what he's talking about. Like people like that, right?
How do you fix
Kyrie,
it?
people like Kyrie, bro. Like
how do you fix
it's crazy. I mean, to me, how I would fix it. You can't tell him like, for me, it would come off as racist if you tell him to shut up and play basketball. You sound like that white lady from Fox, so you can't tell him to do that to shut up and play basketball. But there has to be something like I'm with Kai. The CBA is going to be terrible. Like there's going to be a lockout, so there has to be some way that you can create certain levels of balance, right? I think that the new up and coming players such as Giannis, for example, staying with Milwaukee. It told a story, right? Zion re-upping told a story. You know, like you have the dude from Memphis, John Morant. He's probably end up staying. So it's like once these players go to a team,
he's definitely gonna stay
and commit to their team and just try to gut it out and win. Jason Tatum with Boston, like some of these young stars, the next generation of stars have to have more balls than the last generation of stars did. That's literally what it's going to come down to. Because the last generation of stars had no balls, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? And so that's literally what it was. Huh?
You think all this started with LeBron forming these teams?
Well, it was – people want to say it was Boston's fault. That it was Boston, right? But
didn't Boston do that to compete with Cleveland?
Boston did it because but the difference between Boston and Cleveland, or Boston and LeBron, Boston, they was old, right? Like they were on their last leg and their last hurrah. Like Kevin Garnett's back was messed up.
Right.
Ray Allen had, Achilles problems. They were over the hill. LeBron couldn't beat that team, and so he was like, "Look, I'm gonna play with my younger friends."
That's got one thing to say.
Yeah, I gotta say something.
I hate when people bring up Boston because it's not like KG called Paul and then Paul called Ray, and then they was like, "Yo, let's do it." Danny Ainge made those trades happen.
Right.
So like, I hate when people bring up Boston. It's like, oh yeah, well Boston started it. It's like, but nah, they didn't talk to each other to do that. That was the team.
It just came together naturally.
Kevin Garnett wanted to go to the Lakers. He wanted to play with Kobe.
Yeah, that would have been dope.
He had to waive his no trade clause to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
There was no trade clauses available with Miami. They were all free agents. They were like, let's go here, let's do this.
Like they teamed up. The one thing that I do kind of like about the league now is that it is more so like, although there's certain teams that are trying to do it with 3, it's starting to lean to where you do it with 2 and some really good role players.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the one thing that I am happy about when it comes to the league. We do got to move on.
I like these super teams. I'll say that at the end. Because I don't watch too much basketball, so when I do, I need to see all these cats together one night. I need to see them all.
You would have been a fan of the Bill Russell Celtics.
They have basketball teams. Like the one reason why I wasn't really upset with the Brooklyn Nets, and like I still to this day, the only reason they don't have a title is because niggas got hurt. But like it's because that you pretty much you get James Harden and you automatically take Kyrie off the ball. So it actually fits as far as a team. It's just this they had to gut that team in order to do it to where they don't have that depth that they had prior to that.
No doubt.
So like if you do it with 2 versus having 3, you can still make a good team.
Mm-hmm.
Where if you do 3, your 4th, you might have a good 4th and 5th person, but your 6 through 8 that's coming off the bench is not going to be as good as it could be if you had 2 stars and a bunch of role players that played that.
And not to be long-winded, really quick. Blake Griffin can't be a 5 in the NBA Finals, bro. He can't be at this point in his career. He can't be a 5.
Yeah.
And then, like, who was their forward? That's why, dude, I hated them from the start. I knew Brooklyn was going to start. We had that argument with them, bro. I told y'all from the start.
But the only reason they lost is because niggas.
No, that's not the only. They would have lost regardless. You cannot have. You cannot have
the shit out of Milwaukee, and then Kyrie sprained his ankle.
Milwaukee, but Milwaukee was destroyed. The reason why Milwaukee
still were losing though.
No, I'm gonna tell you why though. Mike Budenhouse had Brook Lopez over shoot 3s for no apparent reason. But if you had him playing inside, that game was over. It's coaching. Right,
I think Milwaukee's team the following year was better than the Milwaukee team that was losing to Brooklyn.
Yeah, bro, it had literally everything to do with coaching.
But
they still was getting Milwaukee was getting the breaks beat off them, and then Kyrie got hurt, and then that's when things changed.
Yeah,
but for the sake of time, I would love to really continue this argument.
Yeah, no.
but we got to talk about the ladies for a little bit.
Ladies,
I'm low key hurt because everybody knows how much I love me some Asia Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
But Breanna Stewart beats her out and wins the MVP of the WNBA. Is she the best in the league?
Okay. So with the WNBA, and I feel your pain, man. We gotta play that Tupac, so much pain. But yeah. So here's the thing with the first of all, shout out to the WNBA. They need to continue. I hope people continue to watch that game. It's so much. It's really exciting nowadays with like the speed of the game and everything that's going on in the modernization. If you haven't watched the WNBA game, you should. But I actually believe that the person who lost the MVP award, Asia Wilson, actually is the best player in the game right now, Ralph. This race to me, you could say, it's crazy how there's parallels, was kind of similar to the Joel Embiid and the Nikola Jokic race that we had in the NBA with how tight it was. And I actually thought that Asia was going to win. for the following reasons. The fact that, one, they got the number 1 seed. She was the best player on the best team, right? And in the final 4 games, she beat 3 of the top 4 opponents for her able to do that. So I think when you look at that race, and personally, it came down to, when you talk about most valuable, someone who was playing with more talent around her versus someone who was kind of having to uplift their team, Breanna Stewart. However, just because you're the best player on the best team, there's something to be said, guys, about making the game easier for others. And that's what A'ja Wilson was able to do. Something that's not talked about enough is the departure of Liz Cambridge. Liz Cambridge left. You have a first-year head coach in Becky Hammond, right? And so with Liz Cambridge leaving, that left A'ja Wilson as the first line of defense on the Aces, essentially, right? So when you're the first line of defense, now you have to have a more profound impact on the defensive side of the ball while also having impact on the offensive side of the ball. And she was still putting up 2 blocks. You know what I'm saying? So she was doing on the defensive side, she was doing on the offensive side. If you look at her statistics in assists and rebounds and blocks, she was having a career high in everything except for points, and she averaged 20. She was pretty much averaging like 20 and 10. All right.
Right.
So when you look at the fact that she was having a career high season across the board statistically, when you look at the fact that she was making the game easier for the other ancillary pieces around her on that team, A'ja Wilson to me is actually the best player in the game. Fluid jump shot. I mean, that jump shot was humming. You know what I'm saying? And then head to head, she was pretty much besting Breanna Stewart, who herself, with all credit, she did have that like a 35, 5, and 10 game. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of splitting hairs, but I kind of look at it once again like this. Take okay, let's take the Lakers 08, 09, 010, and then you have like LeBron and that. Okay, who's the best in the game? The best in the game. And when Kobe finally won the MVP, the Lakers won 65 games, but he still was the best defender on the best team. He was still the best option on the best team. So you can still have a really good team, but if you are the number 1 option at the end of the game to make the clutch shot or to stop somebody at the basket or to score, that's another way that you can be the best in the game. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to necessarily be you have no talent around you and you're lifting them up. I think there's just different perspectives of how people look at it. And then finally, before I pass it off, I saw this crazy stat, guys. She led the league in double-doubles, A'ja, right? And she was the first player in WNBA history to have 700 points, accumulate 300 rebounds, and 70 blocks in the season. Simply put, to me, A'ja's the best.
Yeah.
You know, and I know, Tar, I think you said you were at that game. I know you showed me some photos as well, and maybe you can kind of expound on that. But to me, she's the best in the game right now over Breanna Stewart.
Yeah, well, really quick too, like what makes it hard for A'ja Wilson to win the MVP, right, is the fact that Kelsey Plum's cooking right now. I think Kelsey Plum is she's second in WNBA in scoring and I think assists, and she won the WNBA All-Star Game MVP, right? So like she's been cooking. So if when the original question was posed, it was she's not going to win it. Breanna Stewart's going to win it just because I know Breanna Stewart has other players on her team. I just seen Ralph. What's the other girl on her team's name? Not Sue Bird, but the other one.
Oh, Jewel Lloyd.
Jewel Lloyd. Jewel Lloyd is nice. She legit just dropped 38 at the game I was at Sunday. She legit just dropped 38. So
I was at that game too. She was balling.
Yeah, she was balling, bro. So I mean, but the reason why you normally in basketball you normally give you would think the MVP always comes from the best team, but it's essentially hard to give her the MVP essentially just because, and this is no fault of her own, but just because Kelsey's cooking, right? So. And then Breanna, she leads the league in, I believe, points and rebounds. So she's like 21 and I think 7 rebounds if I'm not mistaken. So I think if we're just going based off the stats, her team's the 4th seed currently in the playoffs. So just based off of that, I can understand why she continues to win, MVP because she's working on her second one. She's basically, if we're going to compare NBA, she's basically the Jokic right now of the WNBA, which completely makes sense. And I think the reason why Asia kind of gets overlooked sometimes is because you have a Chelsea Gray that's been cooking. You have so much
Yeah,
around
like
you.
35 and 10 that game.
Yeah, if you have other talented players around you, we're talking about big three of the WNBA. They have the most potent and best big three.
Yeah.
So it kind of overlooks the best player just a little bit. And the WNBA, that kind of matters a little bit more, in my opinion. So
and then they got a squad too, because Derica is cold.
Yeah.
Is cold.
Derica's too.
And she didn't even play in that game. I actually was hitting people up because I was really thinking about going to game 1.
Bro, I got credentials for tomorrow, and I'm gonna see if I can try to give them to you because I can't go.
Okay, that'd be hard.
Yeah.
But
the Aces is balling, man.
Once we got Becky Hammond, I was like, we gonna win it all.
Yep. And her first year, man, it's crazy.
Yeah, we gonna get that ship, and I'm gonna be at that parade, going crazy. I'll be out there going crazy, shirt off. Asia.
I like Asia Wilson. I really do. She got game.
Yeah,
Chelsea's great too. I mean, like you said, big three. All three of them are so entertaining.
Yes.
And then I'm not sure the young girl. She got short hair. She come off the bench. I think she might be a rookie.
I know what you're talking about.
She got some style to her. I like the game too.
But to wrap it up, preseason week 1 was over the weekend, but I think we've already had. I think we started week 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, week 2.
Yeah, week 2. Yeah, week 2.
And so, but they got a weird schedule, man. I seen them trying to do games on Fridays, and then they doing games on like what is going on?
Right.
What is some good? I seen some good. I seen some terrible over the weekend. What is one good or bad thing that you want to say that stuck out to you over the weekend?
I'll let any of our guests. You guys want to go, Dec?
I got a few good.
I couldn't see none of the games. I see my Raiders won 2 games though. It looked like they won. They 2-0. So hopefully that carries on to the regular season.
Man,
right.
And I'm again to the bad.
Every time a season starts, the Raiders. All I want is 8 wins. That's all I. That's not too much, but sometimes they just don't give it to me. But all I'm asking for is 8. That's it.
8 wins.
Okay.
Yeah. So
you said you had.
I have a few good and a few bad. So my one good, I got to give Kai squad their flowers really quick because they actually broke an NFL record, which not a lot of people know about because it's preseason. But they haven't lost a preseason game since 2015. So they've won 22 straight preseason games. Which
what team?
Wow,
the Ravens.
Yeah.
So they broke Vince Lombardi's Packard record, which I didn't even think they kept track of, but I found that out. I was like, yo, that's amazing. That's what's up.
You're trying to butter me up, bro. No, fine.
Yeah, but then like the Ravens, they sat 32 people and still was bussing. So it was like that's crazy. Like they played with the less amount of people this week and it still won, and they got the record. They won 22 straight games. So that's amazing.
We won a chip.
Yeah, I mean, even the preseason, I guess you got to take the good with the bad, for your wins, right? So I thought that's an impressive little stat. And then this is something Kai's not going to like, me being complimentary to the Steelers quarterback. I think, it is preseason, right? But the Steelers played all 3 of their quarterbacks. All of them had well over 50 yards. All of them threw a touchdown. And they're now even talking about trading Mason Rudolph, right? He upped his trade stock, so now you could get something for Mason Rudolph, which they didn't have that before. But you look at the Jets, Zach Wilson just went down, so you might have a quarterback there. You talk about the Rams, Matthew Stafford has an elbow issue. They talk about he has a pitching problem, like the injury that pitchers get, which is crazy scary. No, Tommy John. Isn't Tommy John? Tommy John, is that elbow or shoulder?
Yeah, Tommy John's elbow.
Elbow, yeah. Oh, okay. So they said he has a pitcher, but they're revving him up a little bit, but they said he's having a hard time throwing. So you can even look at him to the Rams, right? Like, so I think by upping his stock a little bit, the Steelers not only have their essential could be quarterback of the future. Now you could get maybe a 3rd or 4th round pick for, one of your other quarterbacks. So they went from having 0 quarterbacks to now there's interest in their quarterback market. So I think that's a win for them, right? And then to me, my bad route, we mentioned the Raiders. Bro, they got to fix their offensive line. Their offensive line has been very, very bad. Their potential starting right tackle, Brandon Parker, he's great grandma bosom soft, bro. Like the first game, my man, bro, had 3 sacks by himself. He gave up 3 sacks by himself the first game. He let the rookie, the number 1 pick, Trayvon Walker, get to the quarterback twice. He's a rookie.
Yeah.
You're not even going against Bosa, Khalil Mack yet. You're not even going against Bradley Chubb yet. And you gave up 3 sacks by yourself. Just by yourself, you gave up 3 sacks. That's not good. They got to get that fixed, especially in that division. There's nothing but pass rushers. You got to get that fixed. And then Sunday, gave up their starting offensive line, gave up another 3 sacks. It wasn't this guy because they said him. There's rumors Brandon Parker tore his ACL, but nobody wants to put that report out yet. I don't risk injury on no man in the world, but God, please take his knee. If his knee gone, his knee gone, bro. You know what I'm saying? but like, there's a reason they're not reporting it. I don't know why they're not reporting it because normally when injuries happen, but the reason why he wasn't out there is because he's knee. But the fact that he wasn't even out there, backups still gave up 3 sacks in the opening drive. So that's 6 sacks in 2 preseason games with the starters. That's not good in the preseason. That's not good at this point. That's not good.
Oh man.
So that's my bad. Is that and Zach Wilson getting hurt is bad too. Zach Wilson's injury wasn't good.
Yeah, I peeped that. That was actually gonna be one of my topics if we didn't have enough topics for this week. The Zach Wilson thing.
Oh, Flacco's gonna play the Ravens week 1. We're waiting for him.
He finna get shellacked. I don't even know how to spell that. I just
Only
like
business, nothing personal, man.
But something for me, man. I think that the Steelers got one in George Pickens.
I wanted him so bad, Ralph.
Like the fact that he slid that far, I understand when people start talking about character issues and things like that. So like him going to a team like the Steelers where they have like that foundation, they got Mike Tomlin, who I actually seen that the Pivot podcast that he was on. I already was like, he's my favorite NFL coach, like of all time. Mm-hmm. But like that's a dude I would run through the wall for Mike Tomlin. And he's not even like the coach of my team. Right. But like to go to a team like that with that type of coach, I think that and they always find a way to get them a wide receiver or 2 in the draft. And they got one with him. So for me, that was my good. I don't even want to talk about the bad because Tar took mine.
Oh,
I feel bad for Justin Fields too because that offensive line is awful as well. Yeah. Although I seen him throw some dots. One thing I noticed is Mooney. Mooney had the same stats as Scary Terry with the Commanders, but for some reason there's like a 12 rating gap between them 2 on Madden.
Bro, Madden ratings this year suck.
Yeah, they
kind
of bro.
Terry is 92 and Mooney is like 79.
Yeah.
But they had the same sack, like they had like very close in touchdowns. I think Mooney had more yards, I think Weston had more yards, but Mooney had like more average per catch, and then they had the same amount of receptions.
Real quick, we talking about Madden. So Sam Howell got a better arm than Derek Carr.
That's what I'm saying.
Wasn't Derek Carr like a 70 something in Madden?
Derek Carr was the most accurate quarterback of passing over, and Sam Howell has a 95. And Derek Carr is like an 87. What?
Yeah. They been doing Carr dirty.
That's foul, bro.
That's why I be getting so hot when people on Twitter. People be talking about, nah, bro, we ain't going. I ain't let no Derek Carr slander slide on my feed. Yep. No, we not doing.
Bro, Sam Howell has never thrown a pass in an NFL game. How do we know this?
Bruh, the disrespect has to stop. But we got to get up out of here, guys. And it was a pleasure, Dec.
Man, I enjoyed it, man.
I didn't lost my hat. Oh, Lord.
We appreciate it, man.
Bro. I appreciate you coming through.
Thanks, y'all, man.
I appreciate you as well.
Bro, come back for the Canelo fight, by the way.
For sure. I'm with it.
Most def. I'm starting to hit you up when I see these big fights coming up, bro.
I'm down.
For sure. But make sure you follow the Instagram page for the pod at J.U.K. Sports Show. Follow me on all my socials. See if I can get them right this time. TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, as well as Instagram. If y'all want to say y'all's before we get up out of here, make sure you say yours.
All right, you can follow me on Instagram at the.houseofhoops for NBA news, highlights, conversations, the whole nine.
And all social media is just this is Dec. This is DEC. So it's all uniformed every social media.
All right.
TikTok, y'all TikToking.
All right. We out of here. Peace out, y'all.
For sure.